With mom, it's more like that's the only love that I have experienced so far that's unconditional. She gave and she gives us a lot of her love.
As we are getting older, she's aging. There's still part of me that is still this little Mike. They just don't change, you know. I always have a place for her in my heart and my schedule.
Einen schönen guten Nachmittag. Hi everyone. Today is the 18th of March 2022. It is a Friday. And at the moment it's about 6:43 p.m. directly from Singapore. This is your host Henri and
Mike, the co-host.
How are you, Michael? How's the week so far?
It's a little bit long for me, I feel. It's already Friday today.
Oh, exactly, isn't it?
Yeah. Spent a good time with mom for her birthday a couple of days back. So I think that was definitely the highlight for me this week. Good week, despite it felt very long.
Today I'm like really in a very disoriented situation. I've been using both Asian time and European time at the same time. So the 24 hours is really not very feasible. I feel my eye bag is really growing a lot. I'm really exhausted at the moment. Anyway, so come back to topic. The highlight for this week for me was mom's birthday, obviously, because we went to Pulau Ubin, wasn't it? That was a very good hike. And the last time we were there, that was in 2018.
4 years back.
4 years ago, so that was quite some time. For the audience who's not familiar with Singapore, Singapore is well known for its city-states, you know, Marina Bay Sands, Infinity Pool, the Malayan, high-rise buildings. But actually, Singapore is a green city, like a garden city. Everywhere you go, most of the national parks, they're all connected these days. It's really quite nice to walk around, do a little bit of hiking here and there. Pulau Ubin is one of them. It's the largest offshore island from Singapore, apart from Pulau, where the military is based there for military exercise. Yeah. But the other one is Pulau Ubin. It's on the northeastern part of Singapore. So you can actually catch a ferry, a boat ride from Changi village, and then you can cross over the water to Pulau Ubin. And it's quite nice because we call that kampong, like a very countryside area. Great nature, you can go for a walk, a hike, and there's different natural trail there that you can explore. Wetland, mangrove, some historic monuments or buildings there. So it's quite nice to actually go there like a weekend city escape. So you'll be surrounded in the whole tropical rainforest, and you can rent a bicycle and cycle around the whole island, or just like simply do a little hike, you know. So that was beautiful. We had done that on Wednesday, I think, right? Yes, this Wednesday.
2 days back, in fact.
Yeah, so we left home early, about 6:30, I remember, a.m. And then we started hiking at
around 8:30.
We also grabbed some brekkie at Changi Village Hawker Center. It was quite nice. Also grabbed the local coffee there before we set off with the boat ride to Pulau Ubin.
I think the moment we get there back to mainland Singapore, it's around 4 hours.
4 hours, yeah. So it was a good hike. That was one of the highlights for this week. Obviously, mom's birthday as well, so we did celebrate that with her. Consider she's very happy, you know.
Of course, which mother is not happy when it's her birthday with her family, right?
Yeah. So she's 21 years old this year.
Forever 21 as always.
Yeah, so she's 21 years old this year. Yeah, I think she's happy. That's good.
Agree. That's definitely the highlight for me this week.
Yeah. What's the word for this week then?
Naturally, it's going to be kinship.
How do you define that?
Immediate, by blood. On a very personal part, definitely it's about mom's birthday, right? So comprised of 50% of the word this week, and the other half of the kinship about my friend's wedding that's going to come up tomorrow on Saturday. It's
cool.
Yeah, it's my best friend actually.
So one of your best friends?
One of my best friends. Yeah, so I mean, that's also another highlight of this week for sure. I'm very sure it will be, even though it's tomorrow, you know, in the future. Might use the word kinship because he's going to have his own family, union of two families in fact.
But the definition of kinship means blood relationship, you know. So it means that it's a vertical down. It has to be from the parents.
For the parents, yes. So I think the focus is more about his relationship with his parents as well. You know, it's about moving out, and then, you know, how as he starts his family, how will his journey like from here on. I can talk more about it, but before we hit there, you know, seems like you also had a long week dealing with Asia time, European time. How's that coming along right now? It's going to be the weekend soon, and what then will you define the week with a word?
I don't know yet. Hopefully by the end of this conversation, I will have a word for that for this week. I don't know, my highlight is another one is that I had an interview again, so which they came back and they are interested.
So that was a continuation from last week, right?
Yeah, which is good. There's another layer there, which they wanted me to have a second interview in person, so which means it requires me to be in London for that second interview.
Right.
But since I'm here right now, I plan to be here to the end of April, so it's still quite a few weeks more to go. So in a way, I can offer them that, yeah, if you guys want it, I could either fly over to London from Berlin at the end of April when I return to Europe, or I can go next week, but it's just that we have to organize the whole trip, you know. So obviously when they came back and said they're interested, but they would like to have another Zoom call just to tidy out certain questions that they have, and then make a confirmation before they fly me there. I mean, anyway, I just replied email yesterday and say, okay, I'm going to go for it. You know, if you have a question, then let's talk about it again and just iron everything out. And so we could plan our time properly from both sides, right? Yeah. So that's kind of the answer I gave. And on top of that, this week I've been working on my video again. It's about first love.
First love.
First love, yeah. It's kind of looking pretty good.
Bittersweet?
No, I think it's the experience itself, you know.
Okay.
I have not really thought about the title fully yet. It's still like in the brainstorming, but I believe that before the publication for tonight, this evening, I will definitely come up with something. So that was a very good story because she was my first love, so to say, from Singapore. And then to this day, we're still in contact. We're a really good friend, which I can't appreciate a lot. So I thought this video is also, in a way, it's a good memory for both of us. That's the thing I want to do, like, you know, the video creation that I'm doing right now, not only for the language learning, like for instance, German language learning, but also I want to become a better visual storyteller, like a storytelling part. I really want to improve on that. Yeah, that's what I'm working on at the moment.
First love. This love was a romantic love?
I won't say it's a romantic one because at that young age, I don't really necessarily understand what it means to be romantic. Yeah, so I think just liking.
Liking.
There was a lot of emotions back then, but it was a very quick one for me as well. It was a week.
Wow.
It was a week, but then I understood through the whole process who I am partially as a person. One of the defining moments. Yeah, so everyone else set off with their own individual journey afterwards, right? And when you look back, that was 20 years ago exactly. So it's really interesting, obviously, to see that you're in different paths and different standpoint in life. That's a very good story to keep, you know, even in the future when I look back through the video, I will appreciate that a lot as well because that's my side of the story. I did inform her and she's just fine with that, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
So every week I'll work on a video to tell that story. Most of them it involves with me from my perspective.
Right.
And that's why I find it challenging as well to really work on the storytelling part. I'm not a very good writer yet. I do write my journal, my diary for many years already. But I'm not that descriptive and not using those metaphoric kind of method yet. So I'm like trying to experiment how I can write better as well through the whole process. So I think visual storytelling, there's a lot of elements in it. You know, not only the technicality side, like in terms of the B-rolls, but also the A-rolls. How do you portray yourself in the whole story? How do you want to tell the story? So there's a lot of things going on. And before I go into all this video creation, I have absolutely no idea what all this is about. I always thought, oh, that was so easy looking at what people is doing for the video, you know, but when you break it down to each individual element itself, it is very overwhelming, you know. And also this week, 2 days ago, we have a guest, not interview, but guest talk with Mr. Who's the Boss. He has like 10.1 million. He's a tech YouTuber from the UK, and he has been doing this for 11 years, you know. His passion is really in technology, especially iPhone products. And then the way you look at his video, it's just so nicely done. And for him, he said average, he uses like 4 or 5 days time to script his scripting. Like this is how he's so detailed in writing his script, and then he will portray and talk about the whole story. And then his retention rate is really, really high. He was saying about 70-something%. I was just like amazed with that.
Retention,
which means that when people click on your video, at what minutes will they drop off or will they drop out? That means they no longer have the interest. So his average about 70-something%, which is quite high, which means that he was always saying the first 30 seconds is very important because that's when you see the drop. Yeah. Then afterwards, it will become plateau. That 1 hour guest talk a panel talk was really interesting to hear from his side. And Ali Abdal, he was interviewing him. Ali was very transparent as well. He just put his main channel, and asked Arun, Mr. Who's the Boss, to dissect and really give a very good analysis of where he could improve. You know, so I thought that was very valuable because not a lot of YouTubers are willing to share their statistic to people or data. So that's quite a good learning point, I would say. But just after the whole thing, I was really quite overwhelmed because there was just like, wow, that's how much time people spend in writing script to be successful up to this stage. But on the other hand, you have other YouTubers like this girl called Chamberlain. She has 11.2 million subscribers on YouTube. Okay. But her production value, in my opinion, is not very comparable to Mr. Who's the Boss or Ali Abdal. She just used a very vloggy style, kind of record her days. But she has so many followers. So you can see from the whole spectrum of production value, it's just totally opposite of each other, but they reach the same amount of, so to say, followers. It's just that the amount of thought that goes behind building a channel is just insane. Not such a thing called like there's a perfect way of doing this, but just everyone has their own style, and you really have to find a good balance between creating your own videos at the same time giving values to the audience who would like to watch. And Mr. Who's the Boss, he was also saying that whenever he's writing his script, he also has 3 audience in mind: his girlfriend, his mom, and one of his best friend who's really into tech. Whichever story that he's telling, he has cut across that 3 audience.
Why?
Just imagine a tech review, right? It can be very specific on a different, like value chain or the production, manufacturing, or even the sales part, or even the functionality of the iPhone. So like when you talk about mom, does she necessarily understand that? Maybe she probably will understand, but it takes her some time to get there. That's why you're saying like, you have to be cut across 3 different audiences. So when they watch your video, they are still engaged and looking at it in their own perspective and finding values in it.
It will be something like the best friend who's techie as well. So naturally, he will understand to the T, right? And then on the other extreme is the mother, where we are making assumption that, not very techie, but explain to her such that she will understand, like
explain to her in a way that she still get interested and not drop out of the video.
Right, okay. And then a girlfriend will be just similar age kind of thing.
I don't know her girlfriend, but I just like someone who's close to her and someone who can always give a different review. So if I were to write a script, then probably I'll be thinking like, who's my different audience group? One, because I'm talking about language or storytelling, so I'll probably talk about someone who's studying the language, as a language student, studying German, for instance. But then how do I keep, for instance, mom engaged with my video? I mean, she will always watch for sure, but she's probably not interested in the whole German language thing.
I see a spectrum here, somebody who's really in the know and somebody who has zero knowledge about the thing, and those average Joe.
Yeah, so that's why you need to cover that 3, just a minimum 3. So you grab hold of most of the audience.
Yeah, that's definitely a very good framework to use as you are doing your script.
Well, if you are interested, there's always different interview. Like for instance, Ali has done one like deep dive with him, this Mr. Who's the Boss guy. You can listen to that. I think it's always nice to listen to different perspective, what other people is doing, they're behind the scene, and also their system, how it works. So you can learn and pick up those that you think is valuable, and it will help you to improve on your video creation. For Ali, it's more like the first 30 seconds, how he could present his idea better and stuff like that. But the thing is, everyone has different ways of presenting. How you come across through the video is also different.
So is there any specific things that he looks at? So to him, these 2, retention rate?
The watch time.
Yeah.
The watch time also include the title, the thumbnail, and also the plot, the whole story. I find that I'm the kind of person whereby I find more inspirational and creative if I started to film, like for instance, B-rolls or A-rolls. And once I have all the materials that I have on that day, I'll look through them, and then my story will somehow come out, and I'll start to write my script. Once I have all of that, I will kind of do my A-rolls like intro, outro, or some of the sentences that I would like to say on the voiceover. And once I have all those, I will classify them from numbering and then classify them into introduction, hooks, body, and outro. And once I have all those, I will think about the title and the thumbnail that I want to do. So I'm kind of doing the reverse way.
But that works for you, right?
At the moment it works, but I know that the thumbnail and the title, some of the part-time YouTuber are saying that it's not strong enough. So that's what I find it difficult. So I was just thinking that if I were to reverse my whole working process, creation process, how would that be? But once I start thinking just about the title and the thumbnail, in a way just restrict me, I just got stuck in the moment. I can't really move on.
I'm just thinking, maybe there's a best practice out there to do certain things, but there are definitely ways that's most suitable for you. Because at the end of the day, you are trying to create something, and like what I mentioned, you're trying to tell a story. So you find the best and most comfortable way for yourself to do it. So you can take that as a reference. When I was younger, when I started to learn guitar, right? naturally, most of the guitars around are the neck is here, the body is here. So you do it this way. So essentially, it's very much using your right hand to strum.
Yeah.
Right. So that's for a right-handed guitar. But there are times when there are left-handers around in the world, right? So then usually what they do is to flip the whole thing.
Yeah.
So that is the best practice for left and right-hander. I met a person, she is a left-hander. But she just changed the entire thing to use the right hand to do everything. So she kind of like have a hybrid, but she has a way to go about creating her music and still adapting. So it doesn't mean that, you know, best practice means you must follow, but if it really doesn't suit you, then find your own way.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
But just, you know, the game with the title and the thumbnail, I find the most challenging for me. I mean, that's something I have to work on. Under YouTube, there's a different category. So one of the categories is called home or trending. What's trending at the moment? You look at all those videos that are trending at the moment, at a precise moment, you're definitely going to click the one that's most interesting. But how do you define interesting? I won this session this week with one of the PTYA supporter, Gareth. He was showing me on screen share. He was saying, look at this, Henry. Which one do you find it most interesting? The only thing that really captured my attention was the number. There was one of this thumbnail but with the number there. The rest, they are just in words, and some of the words are very tiny. So I can't really read them, or I don't know what they're trying to say, so I didn't even bother to click on the video itself. Like for instance, Ali's video, those videos that are really performing really well are video title that contains numbers. For instance, I earned 4 million last year, 2021.
So okay.
Or 5 things that I wish I knew before I blah blah blah. So people, when they choose those, they want to see the growth, mostly growth or improvement, looking at others and how they can improve on themselves. So there's a lot of productivity inside. And then numbers, books review is one of them as well. It's part of productivity. So these 3 categories, he kind of charted a graph, and these 3 constantly just keep appearing again and again on the top, on that graph itself. I mean, that's for his audience, people who are interested in his video. But anyway, so this week I decided to split my channel into 2. So my main one is called Just Henri. I will still have that as a visual storytelling, you know, focusing on growth and lifestyle, something personal like a diary or journal. And I'm taking out the language one. The language one, I'm going to put it on the other channel so that way I can really focus in sharing my language learning journey with the audience. Because when I talk about all this in my main channel, it seems like all the ideas are very scattered everywhere. And there's no cohesiveness there, and people are just kind of lost at what's this channel all about. So that's something I'm going to use this weekend to work on it, to split the whole language part out of my main channel and put in my second channel, like German with Henry. So English and German based, basically. Yeah.
You definitely have your style of, you know, delivery and also writing, which definitely captures my attention. Your way, in fact, the Henry way.
Good to know, because like when I'm writing and doing all this, sometimes so deep into it and I can't really tell whether it's good or bad. And then I'm also a very perfectionist. So what I learned is that every Friday I will upload my video, full stop. Be it good or bad, I will upload, because that's the best that I have at that moment. Because the consistency part is very important for me. I know that if I don't upload once, most likely next week I'll have excuses for myself. This week's the video is not good enough, and after that I'll start dragging. And that'll defeat the whole purpose of me investing so much time and money into all this equipment and investing all this time there. So I want to see the version of myself that is really improving to the state whereby my skill sets of visual storytelling and technicality side really increase. And that's where I want to be.
So somehow you have a word?
Okay, my word for this week is consistency.
About mine, Kinship. I was a little bit emotional because I was really trying to recall what we did on Wednesday with mom. My phone somehow, because I use Google Photo. So there's a lot of memories that they will keep popping out. You know, last year you did this, the year before you did this, 3 years ago, da 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 da. And that's where I started to scroll. And I was thinking, wow, as we are getting older, she's aging. And then I also was reflecting, like, you know, is there any difference in terms of this kinship I have with her over the years when I was little, all the way to when I was in school, until I started work and got married and all that. And then I realized that, there's still part of me that is still this little Mike. They just don't change, you know. But other things do change as well, because as you go in life, you do have more experiences and you want to share with her. A lot of times when I talk to her, I also realize that, oh, she will actually provide different perspective. Not everything she says or her view, you know, I always agree with. She has a different experience altogether, different background, come from a different background. She's just providing me that guidance, and whether I want to do it or not is up to me. I think this kinship I have with her definitely developed over the years. As you go on in life, you will see a lot of different things. You will start to chase your dream. Time is very limited. But somehow, when I think back, I always have a place for her in my heart and my schedule.
I know, I think with mom, it's more like that's the only love that I have experienced so far. That's unconditional.
Even though we do not live together, whenever she visits or I visit her, she will still do the same. Hey, do you have any clothes to wash? Or here's the fruits for you, here's your coffee, here's the food. And you'll be like, aww.
We're very fortunate because she gave and she gives us a lot of her love. You know, and that's so unconditional. I don't know for you, but for me, it's like, I never seen that in those people that I've dated. I mean, some maybe yes, but not to her standards. And then the way I give love is very similar to hers as well, because I didn't realize it till later in years in life that that's how I am as a person. But then also learn from the whole journey, like especially when you're dating someone, that sometimes it just does not work like that. Because people are being brought up with different background, different values. So the way they perceive love, it's very different.
You know, there's this saying that when you find a partner, you will somehow always try to find somebody who's like your mother. No, I have my own partner. Very different. Some element of it, yes, helping each other and all that, you know, giving this sort of unconditional love. But on the other aspect of things is like you will need to, about the comfort thing about with your partner, right? So whether it complements you. So I think that's another aspect of things that is missing in the kinship. Usually, it's an unconditional thing. So it's not about complementary. But when you're trying to work with others, other than unconditional, as a bonus, if there is, on the other hand, will be how complements it. That person might be very different from you, but you are still able to love your partner.
Okay, then in that case, at the moment is 7:30 p.m. in Singapore, and we shall conclude our episode 4. And the words for these episodes are consistency and kinship. Yes. So we finally found the 2 words for this week. Wherever you are, be kind to yourself, take care of each other, and don't forget to smile. This is Henry and
Mike, signing off.
We shall see you in the very next episode. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
And he was like, hey, why didn't you?
Exactly, what's your offer before I leave?
Okay, I'll offer you today a glass of Frisky.
Frisky.
Cheers.